Welcome back to The Hard Truth with your host, Ozzie Knezovich. As we talked about in our last episode, today we're going to talk about one of the candidates for mayor of Spokane City, and that individual is Lisa Brown. One of the things that's always amazed me about Lisa is that no one really knows who she is. And there's a reason for that. It's because Lisa always gets a pass when it comes down to her past. She paid a firm to clean her Wikipedia page and remove all the messages and comments about the fact that she worked against her government, the United States of America, and supported communists in Central America against her own nation's interest. And she's proud of that. She has literally talked about that in speeches, how she started with being an activist in her political career, and she worked against the United States and Central America. And then in 2018, as you can see, the Spokesman Review runs an article in response to a campaign ad that Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers put out concerning Lisa's past. And the spokesman called that ad a misleading ad. I mean, the headline reads, Nicaraguan visits 30 years ago continue to fuel misleading ads against Congress challenger Lisa Brown. Misleading? Well, let's dive into this because Lisa Brown gets a pass on being a communist all the time. This year, she's running for mayor, and as you can see, Lisa has a write-up in the Spokesman Review, and that write-up talks about some of her past, the fact that she was a senator and she was a chancellor for WSU and Secretary of Commerce. Amazingly, this individual who is an ardent socialist, and socialists are communist folks. Marx was a socialist. He just has a different brand of socialism. They nicknamed it Marxism. But she seems to have done fairly well because once she started feeding off the public trough, she's never stopped. She's a career politician. Senate, then went into the bureaucracy of the state, chancellor, secretary of state, now wants to be mayor of Spokane. And the thing that made me chuckle is it even mentions that she worked for Marathon Oil at one point. And I'm like, is that to deflect people's attention away from the fact that the policies that she supports are the reason you're paying upper $5 a gallon gas prices in the state of Washington? Because I can tell you that is policy. That is a choice that the leadership of Washington made, because we're not paying that in the state of Wyoming, where I now live. The highest gas prices I've run into is maybe 410. They average about 389. So keep electing these folks because they're destroying your pocketbooks and your safety. If you want things to change, then stop electing people that set these type of policies. And Lisa is this type of person. She backs those policies, even though in her write-up she would make you believe that she was supportive of the oil industry. Not so. Lisa is not. She's not supportive of capitalism. She has worked against capitalism. Her brand of economics that she teaches is socialist. It's not capitalism. To this day, Lisa's free ride with the media continues. There's no mention in this little write-up that part of her political experience was leading communist organizations. Lisa Brown led a group of individuals called the Committee in Solidarity with the People of El Salvador, which is a national US based organization that high ranking Salvadorian Communist Party members and Cuban intelligence officials operate out of the UN. Established in October of 1980 to oppose American intervention in Salvadoran civil war. That's who Lisa Brown is. She was chosen as one of the leaders. Chosen as one of the leaders. There's no mention of that in her little bio here. How do you continue to get a pass like that? How? When the evidence is quite clear. You know, she worked against our interest throughout South America. And it's amazing that people don't really realize this. Not hard to understand when everything's been stripped out of her record and when the spokesman gives her a pass like this, calling the ads misleading. What was so misleading about that ad? Because that ad talks about the fact that Lisa Brown went down to Venezuela and supported a communist dictator by the name of Daniel Ortega. And let's come back to that first graphic I showed you. This is the spokesman article. But folks, look down here in the left-hand corner. That's Fidel Castro at the celebration party for Ortega. This took place during a time that Russia, the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, the communist Soviet Union, were supporting the Sandinistas. Lisa worked with the Soviet Union, with communists against our nation. It's amazing that we don't know that. But here she is. And if you notice, she's got her fist up in the solidarity salute. And Lisa says something in this article that is so quintessential socialism. Because socialism, Marxism, whatever ism you want to call it, it's all different sides of the same coin, fails wherever it's been tried. It's a theory. It's taught in college. When I was doing my master's degree, I read many an article on this stuff. Anything with the name critical, like critical criminology, critical race theory, all relates back to Marxism. And Lisa says that she went down there to participate in this experiment as it was unfolding. And it is an experiment. Anything that's a theory is not proven. And any theory that continues to fail is a failed theory. And communism just does not work. Socialism does not work. Every country that's tried it fails. But while Lisa was down there teaching her brand of economics, helping the Venezuelan government against our government, she was down there, and this was around the time that Ortega had just lost his re-election. But don't worry, he gets re-elected, and he's ruled Venezuela for the last 20 plus years. He and his wife, and they're dictators. And here in a minute, we'll talk about how many people they kill at one point in time, trying to keep control of their power. But Lisa is getting on the bus with a bunch of other, what they called internationalists, and she's chanting Viva Revolution. And that, like I said, that's her. There's the article. You can take a screenshot, blow it up, you can read it. It's all information that should be coming out, but when it does come out, it gets dismissed. But, article after article, when you start looking into Daniel Ortega, the word tyrant, murderer, is prevalent. And, quite frankly, if you're willing to associate with these type of people, do you have the same character? Do you have the same view on the world, the political view of the world? You have to ask that question. Is Lisa like this tyrant who craves power so much they're willing to do anything, to include killing their own people? According to a Foreign Affairs article, roughly 317 people were killed and 2,000 plus wounded, hundreds jailed. The police and paramilitary were arbitrarily detaining citizens every day. They were being tortured. And this happened in 2018. This isn't all that long ago. This is who this individual is. And quite frankly, association, according to Lisa and Council President Betsy Wilkerson, is enough to convict somebody of being bad. Look at the mayor. What they did to the mayor. Past performance, unchanged, always dictates future performance. So does Lisa become a dictator? Well, based on some people's opinion, including mine, she is. She's a bully. She's not honest. That's the experiences that many of us that have had to live with, trying to work with Lisa Brown on issues. And this trail into socialism and communism dates back years. In the late 70s, Lisa was part of a group that formed a bookstore. Sounds benign, except this bookstore was a Marxist bookstore. This is one of the incorporating documents. This is Lisa Brown's name right here on it. And this is the bookstore. Now, you might be wondering, what's up with the black and red backgrounds for Lisa Brown's slides? Well, it fits the motif. Look at the black and red sign for Left Hand Books. Look at the raised fist of Lisa and the icon they chose to put in the sign for Left Hand Books. Those colors are the colors of Democratic Socialists. Those colors are the colors of Antifa, anarchist groups, and that's the type of people that this bookstore catered to. That's the type of information they put out. So the same salute that she used to support the dictator, Daniel Ortega, in Nicaragua, is the same icon she chose for that. And she doesn't tell you all this in her bio, and very few people dig deep enough to get this, which is amazing because the information's out there. How do you think I found it? The information's out there. And they described this bookstore as Boulder, Colorado, one-stop shop for all socialist, which means Marxist, socialism, Marxism, communism, all same thing, resistance, revolutionary, viva revolution, radical, alternative, and anti-capitalist literature. And Lisa is an anti-capitalist. She teaches socialism. At the time, Lisa was a member of the New American Movement, which is a spin-off from the 1960s New Left movement, student group New Left movement, which will eventually combine with the Democratic Socialist and become the Democratic Socialist of America. The evidence is stacking, ladies and gentlemen. And she goes on to state that communist, anarchist, Black Panthers, rapists are people that help set her worldview, her moral compass. She lists people like Elizabeth Gurley, who becomes the leader of the Communist Party in 1961, as one of those people that helped set her worldview. In her 1986 doctoral thesis, she does this. And an individual by the name of Emma Goldman, which was a pure anarchist, and during her day, a lot of people died. She also states that the lessons she learned in studying Stokely Carmichael and Eldridge Cleaver, two prominent Black Panther members, were more important to her than her formal Catholic moral education. And what do the Black Panthers believe? Oh, shock and awe. They're communists. The ideology of the Black Panther movement was communism. As they put it, it was a blend of Marxism, Leninism, or Maoism. They're communist. Eldridge Cleaver wrote that the party's ideology is and should be interpreted through the prism of Marxist Leninist analysis. So again, help me understand. Explain to me how Lisa is not a communist. She admits that she helped work with these people. She admits that she worked against the United States interest in Nicaragua, El Salvador. She was a leader in that communist organization in El Salvador, and they helped set her moral compass, her world perspective. And it gets worse. Eldridge Cleaver was a rapist. These are his own words. He was involved in a shootout with police. Two officers were wounded. He skips bail, goes to Cuba, spends a lot of the rest of his life on the communist speaking tour in foreign countries. And in his own words, he became a rapist. And these are amazing words to read. I became a rapist. To define my technique and modus operandi, I started out by practicing on Black girls in the ghetto. And when I considered myself smooth enough, I crossed the tracks and sought out white prey. He used rape as an act of insurrection. And he goes on to state that had he not been stopped, he would have eventually ended up slitting some white throats. That's his words, not mine. Can we say racist? 17 years I was an elected official. If I had any of this in my background, I'd have been crucified. And rightly so. If I said that these people helped form my worldview, there'd have been no mercy. But there is for Lisa. Lisa gets a pass. Lisa always gets a pass. when we take a look at today, not 30 years ago, not 15 years ago, not 5 years ago, but this year. Remember what I said about past performance unchanged dictates future performance? Well, here's Lisa again this year, this May. She meets with a group of individuals. The meeting was planned by and put on by an individual that is a domestic terrorist and a attempted murderer. Matter of fact, let me rephrase that. He was a convicted domestic terrorist and an attempted murderer. Lisa, according to this headline, Lisa Brown planned and attended the event on May 9th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. And it says Lisa Brown speaks, and there's no getting away with it from this. Lisa knows who Michael is. I know who Michael is. I've had a lot of discussions with Michael. And Michael makes no bones about it that he did this. But Lisa can meet with a domestic terrorist and speak to his group. But the mayor can't get on the stage at a revival with 30 some odd different pastors in attendance without being condemned by the city council, led by the city council president, Betsy Wilkerson. This is just a political move, folks. Totally political move. So why? What's the difference here? Well, next week, we're going to chat with one of the pastors that were actually at that revival. And then I think all of you need to get a hold of the media and Council President Betsy Wilkerson and the rest of the council who voted to denounce the mayor and ask, what did you do to get the facts behind this? Or did you just run with the rhetoric of the day? A rhetoric in which you indicted not just the mayor, but a large section of your faith-based population as being Christian nationalist, whatever that is. But it must be like a white nationalist because of the way you're using it. What did you do? Because the pastor I've talked to has a very, very different set of information than you've been provided by your media. Because he says very clearly, I had no idea Matt Shea was going to get on that stage that way. None of us did. The mayor didn't know, but the mayor was tried and convicted by the politicians favoring Lisa Brown as a election stunt. But yet, Lisa gets a pass. Where's the articles in reference to what you were just provided from the other media? Folks, this is the hard truth. I hope I gave you something to think about. Can't wait to see you in the next round. Have a great week.